Hello everyone, welcome to a tutorial I'm going to be doing hopefully for a few times, because every time I do a tutorial I kind of don't finish it, so hopefully this changes it. Welcome to a dreams tutorial, and we're going to start with sculpting since that's what you're going to need, and then you're going to make a character and we're going to make a game, either a platformer, shooter, or whatever you want, because from all this knowledge you hopefully can make your own game with infinite creativity. So when you first start Dream, you should see this. Now this screen is basically the start screen. You press circle, moves you to the home space, and you're basically a little triangle character. Now what you want to do is you want to stand here. If you do start here, tap options, and it'll put you to this exact screen. Now we're not going to select Dream Surfing because basically that's a community of other people. If you want to start your own level, then you're going to tap Dream Shaping, and you're going to start a new element or scene, like this. And this is where you can add or do whatever you want for your game as a scene. Now, let's start some controls. Now, you use the left stick to move your imp, which is also your cursor is, and you use the right stick to look around. Now you can spin round and round. But there might be a problem. You need to move. What you do is hold L1 while using the left stick. Now you can move around. Now, let's get you started with some tips. Straight away, I'm not very good at doing this type of stuff. At least the sculpting side of doing this. So if you're looking for very precise and good builders, then I'm not the sort of guy. But I do want to teach you some guides. Another trick is adding some tools, or as this says it, guides to help you. Useful guides and helpers to make it easier to assemble your creations, from grid to precise move and lots more besides. Tap X on it. Here is where some guides are, such as grid snap. Now, if you don't know what this is, this may seem a bit weird, so let's just add a cube. Now, if I zoom out, this cube is now stuck to a grid system. If you accidentally move this off a grid, for an example, let's just move this around somewhere random. Now if I tap grid snap, you might see this is off. If you tap triangle, it will line it back in. So just in case you're using some of community's creations and they're a bit off the grid, then you can tap triangle to put it back in. Now, speaking about sculpting, now let's begin sculpting. Press square to open up this menu, and you're going to go on the mode section, and here is where all the modes and stuff you'll need. You're going to start by tapping sculpt mode. Now here we're in sculpt. Now just in case you don't want this grid snap, I'm going to turn it off in the video, but if you do want a grid snap, then of course go ahead and try it with grid snap. Now it's X or R2, so R2 or X to snip. Tap triangle. If you notice, it's now gone transparent. This is add and subtract. So anything I put on here, and if I tap X this time, it removes it. So it's basically adding and subtracting, like it says there. Now if you don't get this, then let's make something to show you an example. Now, what I'm going to go for is a cubey style, just in case if it's just too complex to add other shapes. Speaking of other shapes, if you go on this menu called shapes, here are all the shapes you can use. And there's a lot of shapes, and with also the moving and adding, you can carve your own shapes. Now, if you've done your sculpt, go in the corner here and tap this, or L1 circle is a shortcut. Now, if you notice, here's all my laid shapes, and there's multiple stuff you can do with it, such as to nudge, rotate, and resize. Now, let's start with the rotate. If you hold L2 while using the right stick, you can rotate it. And you can also do triangle to realign it back to where you were before, straight. And you can also use the D-pads up and down to resize. If you want to rewind for what you've done, it's the left D-pad and the right D-pad. And now, flickers between mistake, so I resized it too much, and before I resized it. Now, if I do L1 and R2 at the same time, you notice now they've gone a weird colour. That's because if I lift this up, ooh, there's now two of them. This is cloning. So now I've cloned the shape inside of it. That's why it looks weird. Now, this is useful for doing bricks and stuff like that, which is a great thing. Now, here's an extra trick just in case. And if you want to know, triangle to delete. Now, let me think. Oh yeah, turn around the cylinder. Well, let's fix that. L1 and X at the same time. Edit your sculpt. Now, you can edit just what you've done. Perfect. Now it's way more like the shape I was looking for. Now, I'm going to quickly do a sculpt, and I'm going to basically show you some other stuff to do with this sculpt. Now, this is my marvelous creation, also known as a horrible house. And from all angles, it looks pretty good. But if you notice, it's always this weird colour. Here are some ways to solve this. First of all, you can use coat mode. X to open it up. And there's multiple stuff you can do, such as tint, which you don't need to change. This can stay the same. And you're going to go to section colours, tap X. Now, here's some really cool stuff. You can now colour it. If I tap X on this red area, it now opens up. Circle to close it, just in case. And now, if I select it, you can notice it going like that, popping up and down if you selected it. Or if it's a different colour, selected red. Now, you notice there's multiple controls too, such as resize the shape, just in case. And it's also apply. The more I hold R2, the more saturated it gets. Now, if I press triangle again, you can add and subtract. When my cursor looks like this and it's slightly transparent, this is when we know that you can now decrease it. You notice it's now decreasing in colour. If I tap it again, it toggles back to normal, and I can make it more saturated. And plus, because I chose tint, I can now tint the colour with multiple colours to get a weird colour. Now, another technique used with this is finishes. Here, you can add multiple finishes, which are materials basically, such as shiny wax. I hold R2, it will apply it, and you know the drill, tapping triangle. Once you're in, turn transparent, you can decrease it. Well, I want it to be very shiny. And now, look how shiny this is. Looks like plastic. Now, you can tap this in the corner, or L1 circle, as a shortcut. And now you've got this. Here's another way to colour it. What you're going to do is L1 and square, which is the properties bar. You know what properties are? It's the features of what the shape is, such as its colour, which is another way to change it. You can now change its colour here. Go down the sidebar of multiple colours, coming from red to green, and you can now edit them in different ways, such as maybe make it darker, or brighter, or more saturated, stuff like that. Now, it's green because I've recoloured it. There's also more stuff such as tint amount, so you can mess with this too, and original colour saturation. Now, this is looking pretty good, but there's even more, such as a glow. If we readjust this menu, using the left stick to readjust its amount, you make this brighter and darker, and make the tint, or glow, higher. So I turned it for 37. Can I go to this section, emit light from glow, and change it to never, when visible, or always. Tap always, no matter where you go in the game, such as if I went really far away. So far I don't have anywhere to grab, but if I go far away, it will show forever. But if I do this saying, it shows from a distance. If you go too far away, you won't be able to see it. Or never. This time it doesn't have any light anymore. And when I do always again, it now is light reflects on the floor. So you can do it to when visible, so if you go far away you can't see it, or never, and now it's gone. And you can also cast shadows. It's always set to, these settings are always set to these two, but you can always change them no matter what you do. And here's a setting, cast shadows. So you can make it always cast a shadow, which you can't see apart from over here. So if I, for example, make this never, you can't see the shadow anymore. Now, let's change some other properties, such as the physical properties here. You can make it visible, like this. Now, this may look weird. Let me tell you about this. Go to the show and hide menu, X open it up, and here you can change stuff such as zones and stuff like that. But we're not going to be learning about this. We're just going to go to this property called preview visibility. If I tick this in game, it shows stuff that are basically you can't see. This here, if you notice, is tickery throughout its transparency. That's because it's showing us that it's now visible in game or not visible. If it's like this, then it's not visible. If I turn it on though, this is normal. So you want to keep this property on. Just saying, just in case you make a mistake. Also, just to add this, you definitely need this. Press X on thermometer. Show or hide the thermometer. It's pretty simple. If you look in the corner now, you've got multiple settings, such as gameplay memory, graphics memory, audio memory. Now, if you notice, we don't have much gameplay memory, but we do have graphics memory. Now, this may be a bit of a problem, but I'll teach you how to solve it later. You have multiple graphics, and you only have 100 of it, so be careful with the graphics. Here's a way to sort it out. If you notice that's 2%, you don't want to waste that much. You can easily tap tools, and if you look carefully, there's this one in the corner, sculpting detail. Now this may look a bit weird, but you can increase or decrease. I'm on decrease right now, since the imp is transparent. That means basically decrease or increase, but this time it's decrease since it's transparent. Now, if I look at this now, what is it now? 1, so it changed by 1%. The more you hold it, the more decrease it will get. The problem with this though, you don't want to do it too much, is if I enter it again, this is increasing detail. If I decrease it though, you can notice it's losing shape. So that, I'll just show you, if I increase, it gains more detail. So you probably want to remove. Do it to the point where it doesn't begin to look like mush like this. Do it to the point where it's got a stern shape, but it isn't that bad, and it looks normal. Now, if you want to exit this, you can always just tap sculpt. You can always tap one of these things, just do the delete like this. Now if I go to modes, it should be working. Now, let's just delete this quick. Here you go. Well, so there's all the features for sculpting for now. This is only a beginner's tutorial, so in the future I will record more things you might want to learn about sculpting. But for now, that should get you started in a bit of sculpting. Try practicing it now. Hope you enjoy it. Now, if you want to get the link in the description, that'll show part 2. If part 2 hasn't came out then it won't show. But if it does show, I always edit the description for it to show. So if you want to find the second part, it's right there, or you can go on my channel. And while you're there, make sure to pop a like and subscribe there, because I'm trying to get a lot of subscribers, particularly 40 or 30 by the end of the year. Well, that's pretty hard to do, so hopefully that works out. But anyway, bye!